I spent a 27-year career at British Airways. I can't quite believe that I ended up staying there for so long. I joined as a graduate trainee, and I started out very much at the sharp end of the business, working as a check-in agent, so in customer service, and looking to try and ensure that my customers left my check-in desk with a smile on their faces. I worked in a variety of commercial and customer roles over the years, and it culminated in leading a major initiative all around transforming the customer experience, which looked at how we could really personalize every single customer interaction in both physical and digital channels, and join up the customer conversation across all of those touch points, harnessing data and technology to do it, but also looking at the business process change that was required, and also the cultural change to really start to place the customer very much at the heart of our sort of proposition, product, communication, planning and design. And so, having successfully concluded that initiative that really introduced personalization, at scale into all of the customer interactions at British Airways, I then left in 2017, and I set up my own consultancy company, CentioB. And I now provide advisory, mentoring and coaching services to customer experience leaders, helping them to translate their ambitions and their customer experience strategies into tangible business results. Well, we're certainly seeing that the effects of the pandemic and the effects of lockdowns around the globe, I think, have really placed customer experience under the spotlight. And I think part of the reason for that is the customer context, and customers are really experiencing very heightened emotions over the last 12 months. A lot of people feeling stress and anxiety, and that can be at a number of levels. It can be around just, health, physical health and mental well-being, but also all of the anxiety of potentially financial pressures, having to be a home worker, and also, at the same time, having children who are homeschooling. I think the sorts of pressures on consumers now has really meant that brands need to think very carefully about the way that they behave towards their customers. And I think empathy has always been really important in the customer experience. The need to really recognize what the customer's context is and reflect that, I think, has always been important for brands. But I think the spotlight now is absolutely on the way organizations do that. And I think consumers are increasingly less forgiving of those organizations that aren't able to adapt their approach to really, reflect on that context. And obviously, virtual working has created all sorts of challenges as well for employees and for businesses. And we've just passed, in the UK, today, actually, as we're recording, is the first anniversary of our initial lockdown. And so now, 12 months on, I think a lot of businesses are still very much struggling with what that working at home mixed mode of delivering, of operational delivery is about. But customers expect organizations to have figured that out by now. Well, I think certainly, operational delivery, I think, has been, it's an ongoing question, how to really deliver and enable, seamless employee experiences in that working from home model, so that employees really have the tools at their fingertips, the right customer insights at their fingertips, so that they can continue to deliver and improve on the levels of service and the experience that they can deliver to customers. I also think the huge surge to digital that we've seen, I mean, so many more consumers now are sort of defaulting to digital channels, and all kinds of consumers that previously weren't used to interacting in digital channels are migrating, and that shift, I think, will remain. And I think inevitably that has also put a huge strain on some organisations' operating models that, where they haven't had that kind of infrastructure. And I think the need to be able to join up different channels end to end is now more important than ever before. And, I think where some organizations, potentially have really great digital experiences, if that's then not joined up with other channels like voice and so on, then, actually the experience is only ever as good as the weakest link in that chain. So the need to start to join up, I think, is absolutely paramount. And I touched on the need to show empathy earlier. I think that's always been important in the customer experience, but again, I think it's more important now to think about how that empathy can be demonstrated in all interactions, both physical and digital, because I think showing empathy isn't just about a human to human interaction. I think that's extremely important, and having colleagues in the front line who really get that and can make that connection with customers is hugely important. But also there are all kinds of ways in which organizations can demonstrate that empathy also in digital interactions. And it is all about really picking up on the customer signals and then adapting that experience accordingly, so it really reflects what that customer's current context is, and sort of helps them, removes those little points of friction and helps them with what it is that they're trying to do. The advances with the kind of AI capabilities, and machine learning, I think has just been huge really over the last, 5 to 10 years. And so there's some really incredible things now that you can build in to solutions to really pick up on the customer's current context, and actually to pick up on the way they might be feeling. So not just understanding what it is that they're doing at that moment and in real time, but also how they might be feeling about the experience, and using then those insights to really tailor and adapt the conversation as you go. And I think there's some hugely exciting developments on that front, and really with that kind of technical capability that is available in the market, there's just no excuse now for organizations not to deploy those kinds of tools and join up the customer conversation. I would probably say, so given how important it is as a brand to demonstrate empathy, which is what we've been talking about today, then it's about how do you, as a customer experience leader, ensure that you are influencing your organization to build that in, as a capability really that's organization wide. So, in influencing the organization to ensure that empathy really is being demonstrated at every single customer touch point. And, my main message for customer experience leaders around that is that, the data and technology is one challenge, and that's all very well. Actually, it's not the hardest thing. to tackle in an organization. I think typically the biggest challenges that I see are the ones of addressing the cultural change internally, and that's where I think that CX leaders, you know, instead of sort of obsessing about their job titles or, you know, what the organizational structure or hierarchy is, should really be focusing on what they can do to influence that change and to drive that kind of collaboration organizationally that can then really deliver great empathy and ultimately a great customer experience.